Nigeria and China's diplomatic relations came into focus in Abuja as scholars, diplomats, and policy experts gathered for a media salon on the One China principle. The event highlighted the importance of the principle in strengthening bilateral cooperation between both countries. The media salon, organized by the Center for China Studies and the Center for Contemporary China-Africa Research, focused on the theme, Understanding the One China Principle and its Role in Deepening China-Nigeria Strategic Relations. Speakers examined the historical and diplomatic foundations of the One China Principle and its relevance in international relations. Counselor at the Chinese Embassy in Nigeria, Dong Hairong, said, "The One China Principle remains the foundation of China's relations with countries around the world." She maintained that Taiwan is an inseparable part of China and called on the media to promote accurate understanding of the issue.
The One China Principle has become acknowledged norms and common sense of all countries, as well as a solemn commitment made by the diplomatic partners to respect China's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Currently, 183 countries, including Nigeria, have established and developed diplomatic relations with China on the basis of One China Principle. There is no such thing as two Chinas or one China, one Taiwan. Since the establishment of diplomatic ties in 1971, Nigeria has made solemn commitments to upholding the One China Principle and opposing Taiwan independence on multiple occasions. During President Tinubu's state visit to China in September 2024, Nigeria reaffirmed the bilateral joint statement that it opposes all forms of Taiwan independence, rejects interference in China's internal affairs, and firmly supports the efforts of the Chinese government to achieve national reunification. It is precisely in accordance with the One China Principle, Nigeria relocated Taiwan's representative office out of its capital, Abuja, and explicitly defined it as a non-diplomatic institution. This has served as the cornerstone for the sound and steady development of our two countries.
Director of the Center for Contemporary China-Africa Research, Professor Sheriff Gali Ibrahim, described the One China Principle as a universally accepted diplomatic position recognized by most countries around the world.
At West Africa, the entire Western African coast, looking at economic community for West African state, looking at ECAS, looking at COMESA, looking at East African community, all these have recognized there is only one China. Those who make the misconception of Republic of China, China is not a Republic of China. It was a misnomer usually given, but Taiwan is being called that particular name. But whenever you call China as People's Republic of China, and Taiwan being part of China.
Professor Sam Amadi of the Abuja School of Social and Political Thoughts emphasized the need for African countries to maintain diplomatic commitments while carefully managing international trade and economic engagements.
Again, if you look at, China has played a very important role in Africa, very important role in stimulating economic development. When I used to be in the foreign policy, if you go to the AU office, you see the footprint of China's in Africa. If you look to infrastructure across Africa, you see China has been maybe arguably in this half of this half of this century, arguably has played even more role than the US and the British Europeans in fostering development in Africa. African countries have a history with keeping territories intact. The premise of Organization of African Unity, AAU, and AU is that territories should remain as they are. So it aligns with the Chinese, with the People's Republic of China's position, which is there's one China. And internal conflicts or internal disagreement in that territory should not be taken to represent, separate statehood. The same way we argue about whether it is Biafra or Dua or other formation. But the reality, as we know, in the age of self-determination and self-expression, is much more complex. So The point, therefore, will be this. And to end, I would say one of the things that Taiwan is doing that's bad is what we call sovereignty for rent. You know, you pay you acknowledge our sovereignty, and that's probably what Eswatini did. Sovereignty for rent. You get paid, you acknowledge, but that's not sustainable in a way.
The salon featured presentations on the historical foundations of the One China principle, cross-strait relations, and China-Africa cooperation. Participants at the event say stronger understanding of the One China principle will further enhance China-Nigeria cooperation in trade, infrastructure, diplomacy, and regional development.
I think that what Nigeria should do is tell China that, look, China, we're sinking and we're swimming with you. We don't have time for that little conversation with Taiwan. Whatever trade they want to do in Nigeria, if they cannot route it to the mainland, we're not interested. The size of the economy is not that big. In another 100 years, what we'll get and what we will learn and what we'll be able to do with a firm position on China in 10 years, Taiwan will not be able to do it in 1,000 years. They don't have the markets, they don't have the strategic size, they don't have the military power, they don't have the financial resource, they don't have the history that can make us begin to dilly-dally.